ladies and men that get into menopause or andropause actually begin to lose hair a
And
lot of times.
andropause is
Andropause is when
male menopause.
male menopause might look at it like that, when their androgens productions begin to go down.
True chronological aging and hacking this thing called biological age. What's the difference?
I like how you put that. So a good way to understand this is simply this. We tell our chronological age with our birthday, which is driven by a calendar and the time, the watch, but that is not true aging.
I don't know how many of you have ever seen the old classic Christmas story, It's a Wonderful Life, right? But in that movie, there was a run on the banks, right? And it's like, oh my word, nobody had any cash. Well, this actually is happening in real life, and it won't be a wonderful life, right?
Bringing to you today some healthy secrets about how to keep that head of hair healthy. As we age, oftentimes hair seems to get a little bit thinner, and nobody likes to think that they're going to lose their hair. They call the hair the crowning glory. And when hair starts shedding at a rate that you feel is out of control, sometimes you find yourself in a panic. So let's talk about some ways that you can keep that hair on your head.
Well, you're right. A lot of people kind of fear losing hair. I had a guy in the office just the other day that he always wears a hat, and he said, "Can I show you something?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm thinking, what's he gonna do? I don't know. He pulls off his hat and shows me kind of a round spot on the back of his head, and he said, "I keep this covered up because I don't want anybody to see it." So I was thinking, wow. And then in preparation for our time today, I thought of this, but people do fear that a lot. And ladies and men that get into menopause or andropause actually begin to lose hair a
And
lot of
andropause
times.
is
Andropause is when
male menopause.
male menopause might look at it like that, when their androgens productions begin to go down. And so two different reasons. And then there's also the idea of some genetic tendencies to lose hair faster. We can't disregard that, but there are a lot of things we can do to remediate that loss of hair, at least the pace of it.
Absolutely. So some of the things that we need to look at are number one, hormone balance. For each passing year, those hormones decline. And if your hormones aren't balanced, your hair is one of the things that your body can do without. So it's going to shed quicker, the hair follicles get thinner, and before we know it, we've lost a whole head of hair. So make sure your hormones are balanced. Number two is check your thyroid. Thyroid levels play a very, very big role in hair, not only head hair, but the eyebrow hair and even hair on your lower extremities. So thyroid is also very important. You got to look at things like stress. Stress is a huge contributor to hair loss. If we're overly stressed, just from emotional stress, that's another reason that you can lose your hair, or the stresses that you put on your hair. Hair color, hair dye, hair shampoos, hair rubber bands, things that we wear in our hair, even like hats, can stress the hair and cause hair loss. Those are all things that we can really do something about and address. Even we need to look at iron levels. If iron falls too low, we can have hair loss. If we lose weight too fast, we can have hair loss. So it's not to fear. We just have to identify the cause and remedy it with a solution.
And there's a lot of solutions out there. I mean, you mentioned hormone balance. I think for ladies out there, it really is estradiol. 17-beta estradiol is what you need. And a lot of ladies just go without that. And again, you're going to have to kind of turn off the noise that say hormones cause cancer. No, they don't. Or every little girl reaching puberty would have cancer. That's just a foolish thing to say. And then obviously there's nutrition. to be involved. I think a lot of people forget the idea that the hair growth phase lasts 4 to 6 months as a general rule, and then it goes into this pause phase. Growth phase is called an anagen phase. Pause phase is called, or loss is called a catagen phase. So these phases go in and out. There's times where the hair grows, times where it doesn't. And, times if the hair sheds a lot, it'll come back as you get stability in your life back, nutritionally, et cetera. And one of the nutrients we forget about with that is biotin. Biotin is actually a B vitamin. I believe it's B7. That's great for hair.
And also, we have to think about iron. Iron levels are very important for hair. If you're low in iron, you're going to shed hair. B vitamins across the board, not just biotin, but even B12. If that's deficient, you're going to shed your hair. We can also think about things like a collagen in nature. We've got one of my favorites is whole body collagen.
Yep.
It's colorless, tasteless. You can put it in water and get it down through the day, and it aids in improving the tensegrity or the strength of hair, skin, nails, bone, and connective tissue.
So here's a little bit of a hair sort of building protocol for you. This is what we would do. We would give you, if your hair's out there and it's getting thin, we'd give you whole body collagen. And you can put it in your coffee, Kingdom Cup, as a creamer. You can actually use whole body collagen and put it in your water. It dissolves in the water. Again, it becomes very clear. You can drink your water that has collagen in it, but make sure you get 1 serving of whole body collagen. That's a specific type of collagen that we have. Then you could also get something called HSN complex. Now it stands for hair, skin, and nails. That comes in capsules or powder. You could put a scoop of that in some kind of a drink as well. Then you can also use a peptide called GHK copper, and that comes in a little bit of a foam, and you can take that foam, put it in your hands, and put it in your hair at night on your scalp. Putting those things together, you can actually stop some of that hair loss. So if you're out there and you're thinking, well, what can I do? We've given you real remedies here, so jump on that protocol, and you can at least stop that the madness of the hair loss.
Well, and it's also very good to get your labs checked, all the way from insulin to DHEA. High DHEA can cause hair loss. Thyroid that's out of balance can cause hair loss. Hormones definitely that are out of balance can cause hair loss. In today's day, more women and men are getting their hormones replaced. And if testosterone is too high, it can convert into this thing called DHT, dihydrotestosterone. And that is actually toxic to the hair follicle. So it'll cause the hair on your head to thin and shed. So hormone balance is very important in keeping your crown in glory, from the balance of testosterone to the balance of DHEA to the balance of estradiol and even thyroid.
So there you go. There's a bunch of stuff you can do. Check the right things, get the right remedies, and stop the hair loss. There you go. How about that?
Biohacking. What is it and how do we make it work?
Find out next.
I could use your assistance.
Okay,
Jesus. Huh? My name is Jesus.
Sure. Jesus.
Jesus is here today.
You looking for a job?
Yes, sir.
You and Mark have 45 days before the bank forecloses.
Not to worry. They do not call me by God Byron for nothing. The collection plate starts to be passed around. Mark reaches into the basket and shouts, "You and your family are the winner from the first church of the lotto." Kind of think of it like a high-stakes bingo night every Sunday.
Poopy diaper! This video of the diaper is going viral right before our eyes.
this is a miracle.
What is?
Friends of Faith has over 300,000 followers.
Oh my dad! That's more followers than Moses had.
Jesus! Take the wheel!
Just say it.
No,
Stop
take the wheel!
I got it, buddy.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does 2 things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
Let's shine the spotlight on one of our star supplements.
The human body can make most of the types of fats it needs from other fats or raw materials, but not omega-3 fatty acids, also called omega-3 fats or N3 fats.
These are essential fats that the body must get from food.
BioOmega 1000 provides a potent dose of omega-3 essential fatty acids sourced from a strategically placed fishing facility in the far South Pacific Ocean off the coast of Chile.
Each capsule delivers an impressive 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, and the capsules also contain vitamin E. See the link below for a special offer, and remember, don't be fooled by cheap online knockoffs. We're so excited to talk to you this time about biohacking, bioharmonizing, bioenergizing, and people need to know the difference between true chronological aging and hacking this thing called biological age. What's the difference?
I like how you put that. So a good way to understand this is simply this. We tell our chronological age with our birthday, which is driven by a calendar, and the time, the watch, but that is not true aging. This might blow people's minds, but it's different. Aging is really matters by a way we can measure our biological aging process, which is different. So biological aging, therefore, is how our body is aging as opposed to chronological aging, which is how the calendar tells us we're old.
Well, and we know that there are at least 4 things that we have complete control over. That's nutrition. What's at the end of your fork? That's the biggest, most highly contributing factor to your long-term health. It's 85% of long-term outcome. Then there's that thing called sleep. We've got to get enough sleep so that our system is not overly exhausted and burning the candle at both ends. We've got to exercise. We know that sitting is the new smoking, and if we don't exercise and don't move, boy, that sets the system up for this thing called toxicity or toxic milieu, if you want. And then last but not least is stress management. If we live a life stressed out, that's a good way to decrease that biological age.
Well, it is, and a lot of people we don't think about.
Actually, it's going to increase biological age.
It's going to increase biological age. There's a lot of people. I use the 20-year high school reunion story. And for those of you who are like, hey, wait a minute, I remember going to that. Okay, you had this thing happen. You had this idea, this epiphany moment. You looked at your partner, your wife or husband, and said, my gosh, they look old.
What happened?
What happened to them? And you probably made the comment, they must have had a hard life. But then you looked at the same group of people and you saw a few that said, that you observed, you said, hey, they look really good. They haven't changed a bit. They look the same age mostly as they did back when they were a senior in high school. That's the biological aging process, and it's different. And yeah, some people have had some circumstances that make life harder. But the bottom line is we should begin to take charge of and make better decisions towards the 4 areas you talked about, sleep, stress management, movement, and exercise. That helps us a lot. And a lot of people are out there right now using various supplements and various little hacks, if you will, to sort of speed up or maybe prevent the aging process or perhaps slow it down.
Well, we have a few biohacks that we just really love. One of them is this thing called molecular hydrogen water. How does that work?
Okay, so everybody out there has heard the term free radicals. So free radicals could be looked at maybe like aging products, like you got the body ages, it's like going through life, moving around, breathing, sleeping, talking, exercising. In the process of creating energy to make all that happen, there is waste products. Think about a refinery that's going to have waste products. So free radicals then are built up waste products. And the body has the ability to sort of, handle them, clean them up, if you will. But sometimes our body loses the ability and the free radicals can build up faster, and therefore they become cellular damaging molecules. Okay, so hydrogen being the smallest element on the periodic table, number one, it's the smallest thing. It can be consumed by water. So we've got these little machines that we put hydrogen in water, and we drink the water, which carries the hydrogen. The hydrogen comes in and chops those free radicals in half that are excessive, turns them back into water, thereby minimizing the buildup and perhaps slowing down the biological aging process.
So that's cool. With hydrogen water specifically, molecular hydrogen, we can turn this free hydroxyl radical, which does absolutely no good for the system except cause oxidative stress or rusting.
Yep.
We can turn it into water, and the body is 65% water anyway. So that's a win. Where do people find this hydrogen machine?
Look, they can reach out to us, and obviously we have little portable machines. We have access
I
to
love that.
big
It goes with
machines.
us. We travel with it.
We do. And, that's just one thing we do to biohack the system. And, there's many other things we do. A lot of times people want to be able to inject things. We inject things like NAD, nicotinamide, adenine dinucleotide. That's a cool term, right? Can't memorize
Which
that.
is in the electron transport change of the
Yeah.
mitochondria,
That's right.
which make energy for you.
So we're trying to figure out different ways to do that. And there are tests that people can do as well in our clinic
Ding,
that
ding,
sort of
ding, ding, ding.
measure this process. They're known as true age, except it doesn't have the E, TRUAGE, and then we've got glycan age, GLYCAN age. Both of those are kind of different metrics of age clocks that we can do, and they're pretty accurate. It shows kind of how your system is aging, the pace, the actuality. It gives you a chronological, age, and then it sort of gives you a biological age estimate as well. How well your system's aging, and perhaps, how well your immune system's performing. So your immune age, for example, is in the 20s. Go figure.
It is in the 20s. And people can also run their genetics. I find that one of the coolest tests that we have, because you see what those oxidative stress pathways actually, what we're born with. So somebody who's got oxidative stress stacked against them, that biohack hydrogen water is a good way to go. Plus then following it with the test. So the genes are the loaded gun, the environment pulls the trigger, and we can see how we're doing by testing.
Well, there's no question. And we just kind of take some action on that. I mean, the bottom line is we're not stuck in the idea of aging. In other words, age is just a number. I think of Caleb in the Bible. He's 85 and saying, I'm just as spry as I was 40 years ago. You can look that up. It's in the book of Joshua, by the way. But the bottom line is you don't have to age like the calendar says. You can age a little bit better than the calendar says, and that's called biological aging. And to get that to do the way you want it to go, biohacking is the way. And we're working on it every day. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, give us a call. Love to help you. Up next, our financial guru, Kirk Elliott, gives us advice on what you need to know at this time in history.
Hey friends, you already know the answer to this, but we'll ask you anyway. If you stay away from your favorite junk food for a month and then go back to supersizing it, will your health improve?
Well, that's the thing about change. To change, we have to be as consistent as possible.
And when we go back to an old habit, it's not the end of the world. We just get back at the new habit.
Before you know it, real transformation is evident to you and others.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life, and we'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today.
Hey there, Kevin Sorbo here. Now, deep down, we know this. We're more than just a brain and a body. We're a spirit, we're a soul, and we're also a physical temple. If you hit the wall when you're trying to improve one aspect of your being, it's probably because, well, other aspects are sabotaging our success. So that's why diets don't work. And frankly, why so much conventional wisdom from our so-called medical establishments falls flat. Doctors Michele and Mark Sherwood have a very different approach. I should know because I happen to be one of their patients. They address the whole person to get to know you, your challenges, and more importantly, what your goals are. Then they offer a complete plan that addresses your unique biology and your heart. They'll help you discover what you need to experience transformation. So find out more at sherwood.tv/sorbo. That's sherwood.tv/sorbo, or see the link before. Now I'm heading for a workout. You should be going for a workout too. All right, guys. God bless.
Hey everybody, Dr. Kirk Elliott here, and thanks, Mark, for having me on. Interesting topic today because it's a scary topic for everybody that has funds in the bank, right? So I don't know how many of you have ever seen the old classic Christmas story, It's a Wonderful Life, right? But in that movie, there was a run on the banks, right? And it's like, oh my word, nobody had any cash. Well, this actually is happening in real life, and it won't be a wonderful life, right? So the FDIC, the Federal Depository Insurance Corp, right? When you have a bank account, a checking account, savings account, your bank accounts are what? They're insured up to $250,000, right? So we all feel safe, right? We all feel safe that our bank accounts should be safe, right? They're not tied to the stock market. They're not tied to the bond market, or are they, right? Because what does the bank do with your funds? They lend it out, right? So they used to be that every $100 you would deposit, they would keep $10 back and they would loan out $90, right? So it was a 10% reserve requirement. Well, during COVID, all banks in America from the Federal Reserve said reserve requirement is 0. So they don't have to keep any money on hand at all, 0, right? Oh my word, they could be ripe for a bank run, right? So they also did one other thing. This happened last year. Also what happened last year was the Fed took $2.5 trillion of liquidity out of the banking system via a mechanism called a reverse repo mechanism, which just means they gave all banks these worthless US treasuries and stripped cash out. So they took out $2.5 trillion. They made a 0% reserve requirement, meaning banks don't have anything on hand. So their liquidity is like minimal. But then in November of 2022, a meeting was held at the FDIC, and this video just came out end of the first week in January. It was a video of their meeting. It wasn't intended for public consumption because these FDIC officials were talking, and what were they saying? We can't let the public know about this at all. Now, the bankers, they need to know what's happening in the markets and the impending collapse. And see, Mark, words have meaning, right? So impending collapse. They weren't talking about a collapse that might happen somewhere down the road. An impending collapse of the markets, and the public can't know about what they're talking about in this meeting because that would have come with unintended consequences. It's like, what in the world were they talking about? So what they're talking about is the FDIC is running out of money. So we all think we have $250,000 insurance coverage. We don't, because there's $9 trillion of our money in the banking system. 9 trillion, okay? They have 125 billion covering 9 trillion. That's 1.388%. So the FDIC only has 1.388% of all of our deposits covered. No wonder the FDIC officials, when they didn't know they were being recorded, said, we can't let the public know about this because it would come with unintended consequences, which would be what? A run on the banks. And how much money do banks have? 0% reserve requirement. And they stripped $2.5 trillion out. So this is where, what do we do? I mean, seriously, what do we do when our banks aren't even safe? And you and I have spoken in the past, Mark, about stock market collapse, bond market collapse, and a lot of times people just put their money in the banks when they want it safe and they just want to sit on the sideline. That's not even a good option now, right? With the banking system in complete shambles, no liquidity, and now FDIC, the insurance coverage is so underfunded, they only cover 1.388%. So what do? What you and I have been talking about for months now. Go into tangible assets like gold and silver. It's your safe haven. It's the flight for quality that we all need in times like this, because here's the growth that we've seen. Asset protection, first and foremost. We need to protect everything we've worked so hard to accumulate. Silver and gold are the safest assets in the planet because they're things, and things go up with inflation. But over the last 13 weeks, silver's up almost 40%. It was, let's see, 3 months ago. So, 12, 13 weeks. It was $17.97 an ounce. Today, it's well over 24. It's up almost 40%. But 12 weeks doesn't make a trend. So let's look back further. 2.5 years. Silver was $11.91 an ounce in March of 2020. Now it's up to over 24. That's up 98% in 2.5 years, averaging 38% year growth. That is amazing. In a time like this, when we're all concerned about stock markets collapsing, bond markets collapsing, we're losing equity in our houses, we can have a smile on our face like I always do, because we can have something good. There's hope and there's light at the end of this tunnel. If you do the right thing, reallocate into silver or gold, tangible silver or gold, and we can help you with that.
The body's amazing at recovery, so you want to give it every chance, no matter what time it is. So in that context, no, it's certainly never too late. You're never too old to start trying to be healthy.
No matter where you are in terms of your health, that you can turn this around.
It's never too late to start a wellness program, and it's never too late to reach your healthcare goals. There's an old adage, and I'm not sure where it came from, but I really do like it. And they say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
We just want people to hang on to hope.
We are hope dealers. And if you are not paying attention to the 4 foundational pillars of health, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual, eventually it is going to catch up.
If we get all those 4 areas right, and we do it right, we see a dynamic occur in the middle called wellness, and that's where people get better. Their health is really going to return as a side effect of wellness.
Exploring biohacking, bioharmonizing, biosynergizing, stacking, resilience, or anti-fragility?
Start here. No gimmicks, just proven results.